Do you guys remember when I talked to you a couple of months back about thinking $1,000 smartphones weren't necessarily worth it because you wouldn't get 50% more of a phone for paying 50% extra compared to other more budget-friendly phones? Yeah, on that, I think I was wrong. I was also right, but we'll get to that. So the S10 family was released a while ago already, and ever since it hit every reviewer, the feeling across pretty much everybody was it looked to be more of a big deal than theoretically it was supposed to be. After all, it was an improvement upon a formula that Samsung had been working on since the S8, right? So now, after quite a while with the S10 Plus as my only phone and taking it as the only camera with me to the top of mountains and fjords, from icy lakes to the middle of the Pacific Ocean to hot boiling springs to Middle Earth, from there and back again, I can comfortably say that the S10 Plus is still in my pocket because it feels right. That formula, Samsung has basically worked it to a point where to actually achieve perfection, they will probably have to buy out Google's Pixel division just to be able to get their hands on that pesky camera algorithm. And that's more of a joke than anything else, but if the Pixels are today the A+ camera in the market, Samsung is holding hands with Apple and Huawei being the A camera in the market. And quite frankly, for most, if not all scenarios you would be using your camera in, it's really hard to need or want more than that. Now, credit where credit's due, Samsung's design team have indeed outdone themselves. The design of the S10 Plus may seem, if you just bat an eye at it, as incremental on top of the S9 and S8, but those phones weren't really showstoppers. And the S10 Plus actually got me stopped in the middle of the street multiple times with people asking, hey, that's an S10 Plus, right? And the usual reaction was, wow, that's pretty. An evolution, yes, on the rectangular glass sandwich we've been accustomed to for the past several years at this point, but apparently an evolution in the right direction. But you can't talk about how good the S10 looks without mentioning the display, and it's glorious. Absolutely stunning. It feels like everything you look at, it's popping off of your screen right in front of your eyes. And it is indeed brighter than it should even need to be, because you don't actually need to use full brightness, even in direct sunlight, to be able to use your phone. And that's really good, because it means you can use your phone whenever. And I 100% agree with Mr. Mobile on this one, because even the oleophobic coating that Samsung applied to the S10 family feels a little different. This glass screen is almost unreasonably smooth. When it comes to the display game, Samsung is alone. It doesn't matter if they don't use high refresh panels and all that stuff. There is no competition here. Ultimately, there isn't such a thing as a perfect phone. What can come close to that is the perfect phone for you, or what it feels to be the perfect phone. Because it does everything you need it to in an easy manner. It just works seamlessly, effortlessly, and that is exactly the way I feel about my time with the S10 Plus. From taking it out of the box on day one after release, then setting everything up and start to use it actually to test everything, all the tasks I had to get done were dealt with no hiccups. Every photo and video I wanted to take were shot with no hassle. Every app opening, every game playing, every update installed seamlessly, effortlessly. And as time starts to pass by, you begin to notice different little things that all add up to that beautiful experience, like battery optimization for one. Samsung always had software trying to make things work better and keep your phone alive for longer and, smoother for longer, but they weren't always successful. But this time I was actually gifted extra peace of mind that I would get to the end of the day not being left without a phone, and even further from that I would actually be still left with enough that if I needed to or wanted to stretch a little bit more and get even more done with that same charge, I would be able to. And that peace of mind builds up to quite a lot, even with stuff like IP rating for water and dust resistance, because the average consumer doesn't have to trust a company, but having that certification at least means another step, another reassurance that your phone is well taken care of and that it can withstand more. And despite the fact that it may only be psychological, that reassurance can very well sway your purchase decision towards something different. And that sort of thing permeates my entire experience with the S10 Plus. The best display in the world, the best build with a gorgeous design, all the features that you could possibly want to use right now and maybe even some that you will end up using in the future. The first of its kind in-display ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, which may not be perfect for everybody but does work very well, thank you very much. The S10 line even brings features that, according to Google at least, you shouldn't even expect to see outside of lower tier phones like the Pixel 3a. By that I mean the 3.5mm jack, because after all, as we all know, there are no really good wired headphones that you might want to use with your higher tier phone, right? Wait. To borrow a bit from John Rattinger, everybody that sees or gets the S10 in their hands is startled. It's just jaw-dropping, and they're taken aback by how good it looks, how good it feels in the hand, and how seamless and effortless it is to use. Especially for those coming from older Samsung phones, because the leap in software alone is so big that the experience is completely different. In fact, because of One UI's evolution and Samsung's speedier software updates, I would right now put them in a spot where I'd bet the S10 lineup will last still feeling snappy, smooth, and powerful for longer than what we're going to be seeing from the Pixels. And that's saying a lot, especially when you consider Google's and Samsung's past track record. But I just feel like One UI has been developed in a way that makes more sense. And I honestly like its approach to being more accessible and easier to use and more seamless and practical than what even Oxygen OS brings to the table with drawings on the screen and different gestures that you can learn. Don't get me wrong, Oxygen OS is still the fastest Android experience out there, but being the fastest isn't the same thing as feeling like you're the best. A note though to you, Samsung. In using the phone, one couldn't care less about the different processors you decided to use in the different versions of the S10 between the North American market and the international one. But it does really feel like you were just cutting costs. It's a business decision, and that's not the main issue. The problem is your chip isn't as efficient in idle power management at least, which means that even if it performs identically, I could be getting even better battery life from the already awesome one that I've been having with my S10 Plus. And knowing that sucks. So honestly, I expect that in the future, for next time, you guys will double down in R&D to get your chips to be able to compete with Snapdragons on the same league, and perhaps even go full-on Exynos globally. I'm rooting for you. So, I was wrong. For the $1,000 that Samsung is asking, they actually deliver tangibly more than every other manufacturer with their flagship phones. Yes, you can get great bang for buck options even within Samsung with the S10e and other brands, but when you're talking top tier, the S10 Plus is still definitely the phone to beat this year, especially since its faults are minuscule at the feet of their towering achievements.